Hey gang, welcome to another video of Bernie the Bear Professor answering your question. And I'm gonna roll with this whole Bear Professor thing. I guess people have called me the Bear Professor. Bear Hunting Magazine calls me the Bear Guru, I guess. But I guess, you know, everybody needs a nickname, so I'm kind of gonna roll with this professor thing. But anyway, my goal today is just to answer some of your questions that you've asked either on Facebook or the YouTube channel or whatever. And I want to take a few minutes to go through some of these things. And some of this stuff I've discussed on other videos on this channel, but I just wanted to hit some of the highlights. These are ones that keep coming up. So the first one is about bake and burn or honey burn. And the question is, you seem to be pretty negative about honey burns. Do you think they don't work? So that's a really interesting way to put this, but let's look at the issue of honey burns and bacon burns and all this, you know, anything that you can burn. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't say that I'm negative about them or think they don't work. I did an entire video on why doing a honey burn can actually be a bad idea in some situations, but let me just hit the highlights of that. So first of all, I get why people like to do honey burns. It's, for a lot of people, it's a tradition. You know, it's kind of fun. It's something that they do every time they open their bait or whatever. I'm cool with that. I'm not going to dispute that it's part of what people look forward to in bear hunting. A lot of people maybe learned it from, you know, their grandfather or something like that, and so I'm all about tradition and things like that, so that's great. The issue with honey burns and bacon burns is it's just completely unnecessary. We really just don't need to do that anymore. It's not an efficient way to get bears in. It's, you know, it's a lot of work, it's expense, you're carrying stuff into the woods that you don't, it's really just not necessary. The sprays that we have nowadays are so much more convenient. They work better, actually, because they last longer than honey burn would. You know, putting Gold Rush in oil and spraying it around your bait site is the best way to open up a bait that I know of, and there's nothing else like it. When Gold Rush came out, it literally changed how fast we get bears on the baits. It's that good. I wouldn't say I'm negative about a honey burn. I'm just saying it's really just not necessary. If you like it for the tradition of it, then great. Where you run into a problem is a lot of people will do a honey burn the first day they hunt, and that can really be a mistake, because you hear me say the words consistency kills bears, and especially the bigger bears. And let's make a distinction here. You know, yearling bears are easy to kill. You can do everything wrong and still kill a yearling bear, or maybe even a 2-year-old bear. The 4, 5, 6-year-olds, they get really hard, especially the males, and you can't make a mistake. You just simply cannot screw things up and still have a chance to kill them. Think about like a yearling buck that's a spike or maybe a forkhorn, and he's starting to get ruddy, and he's chasing around, he's sniffing the does in the daylight and running all over the place, and he's going to get shot, and most of them do. And it's the same way with yearling bears. If you want to have a chance to kill a mature bear, you have to do everything right, and you have to be consistent. He wants to feel comfortable and safe when he comes to the bait site, and the way you do that is by providing him an environment where things just don't radically change. And you might have a bear that's coming in good, and then you sit out there and you do a honey burn when you're on stand, and that bear's smelling that, going, "Whoa, that's really different. I'm just not comfortable with that." So you know, anything you major change up when you start hunting, like a honey burn, it's never a good idea. So that's my biggest issue with the honey burns and the bacon burns and so forth. Whatever you do, if you want to start a bait out that way and you like doing that, more power to you. I wouldn't do it at any other point if it was me. So that's my thoughts on that. And like I said, I've got another video on this channel that I go into more detail on that. We're going with an outfitter next month, and he asked me to send a dirty t-shirt that he can hang in the tree stand where I'll be hunting. Do you think this is a good idea? I don't even know where to start with that. It's pretty bizarre, first of all. I'll tell you what, I'll answer that question with a question, and that is this. Do you think that the bear can tell or can smell the difference between one of your sweaty t-shirts in a tree stand and an actual person sitting in that tree stand? And if your outfitter doesn't understand that, you might need a new outfitter. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, that's probably another tradition that one probably just needs to die. The other part of that is I wonder if that outfitter is going to commit him to that one tree stand for the whole time, and if he, the month ahead of time, if he already knows which tree stand he's going to put him in. I don't know. This is disturbing on a lot of levels. Here's one that comes up an awful lot. Okay, here's one that comes up quite a bit, and I hear this type of thing all the time. I have a bear that won't come in during the daylight. Do you think I should scare him off the bait by some manner or means in the nighttime so he will come during the day? My friend says to play a radio that comes on at dark so he won't come in at night. Okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna make a flat, bold statement that you should never, ever, ever try to scare a bear off the bait at any time, day or night. It's never a good thing to scare a bear off the bait. And this friend of yours has a complete lack of understanding of what makes a bait site work. And that is that the bears have to feel comfortable and safe there. And if you're doing anything to take away from the comfort and safety of the bear, even at night, you're making a big mistake, because a bear doesn't have to eat there. He's got other options. You know, if he doesn't like it, he's just not going to come at all. You know, always just keep in mind, if you ever feel like you're trying to do something to manipulate the bear, that you're feeling like you're just trying to control the bear or make him do something that you want, just stop doing it right now, because it ain't going to work. Bears make the rules, and we have to play the game by their rules. So all you can do with a bear that's nocturnal is make sure he has food and is rewarded every time he comes back, and make a comfortable, safe environment at the bait site for him. Most of the time, get this, most of the time, if you have nocturnal bears, it's your location. And very few people understand that. They all want to try to control the bear and make him come in during the daylight. But the problem is probably that he doesn't feel safe in that location, or can't approach it with a safe feeling during the daylight. Or maybe he's too far from where he's bedding. It just takes him too long to get there from the time that he leaves his bed in the evening. Most of the time, if you got a nocturnal bear, it's your location. Don't try to manipulate bears. They like to feed in that last half hour of daylight. That's the number one feeding time for bears. So if they're not feeding in that last half hour, you're just not providing him the environment where he feels safe before dark, and that's what you need to focus on. Do bears like fill in the blank? I get this question all the time, and it could be, do bears like this, do bears like that, do bears like, will they eat this, will they eat that? And here's the thing, bears are individuals, and some bears like some things and some bears don't. I have seen bears that will dig through all kinds of candy to get to some beef scraps that's in the bottom of the bait. I have seen bears that will eat this and not eat that. I've seen bears that'll eat something first, and then when everything else is gone, they'll eat something, that whatever's left. I've got trail camera videos of just this year. I had a bear that was going through a bait, and it was trail mix and sunflower seeds, but I also had those little sugar-coated orange slices. You've seen them. They're really good. I always nibble on them when I'm baiting. And this bear was just kind of pawing all these orange slices off to the side as he ate the rest of the stuff, and he would paw those off, and he had kind of a pile of them over there. and he left and he wouldn't eat it. And a couple hours later, another bear came in. The first thing he did was eat all those orange slices. I've also got trail camera video of a bear that's pawing through the bait, and this bear is eating, they're like yogurt covered raisins. They're white and they look like marshmallows, and a lot of people saw that video and they think it's marshmallows, but it's actually these yogurt covered raisins. And that bear's just pawing through the barrel, and when he was eating those yogurt covered raisins and not eating anything else. Bears are individuals, and I don't like to use the word personality because they're not persons, but they have what would equate to a personality. Different bears like different things. They will eat different things in different orders and things like that. So when you say, do bears like this, it's difficult to answer because all bears aren't the same. Okay, and so let's address the specific issue of popcorn, because this is another one that comes up all the time. And people say, do bears like popcorn, or is popcorn a good bait, or something like that. There's some issues with popcorn. First of all, the good part is popcorn's light, it's easy to carry, it's cheap, you can make it yourself, you can have different flavors and so forth of popcorn, and the bears will typically eat it. Here's the problem with popcorn: it doesn't have really any significant nutritional value for the bears. Also, if it gets wet, it just turns to kind of a slimy mush and they won't eat it. The third problem with popcorn is it just doesn't fill them up. It doesn't satisfy their needs, and what we all want is for the bear to sit at the bait and eat until he's full and then just go lay up nearby, so when he's hungry again he comes back for more. And popcorn completely fails in that regard. Okay, so how about caramel popcorn, or like some of this popcorn that has stuff drizzled on it? Okay, the bears really will eat that, especially the caramel popcorn. The bears gobble it up. I've never met a bear that didn't like the caramel popcorn to some degree. The problem with caramel popcorn is that, first of all, you still have the issue of that it's not fulfilling their nutritional needs, even though it's tasty and they're eating it. But also, when it gets warm, the caramel tends to melt and get soft, and it sticks to the side of your buckets, and next thing you know, you got it on your hands, and you got it on your clothes, and you got it in your truck. You kind of have this goo everywhere. Okay, so the other thing is, when it's cool, the popcorn's all clumped together, and I mean it's just not efficient to handle. You got to chop it out of a whatever container you get it in, whether it's a barrel or a cardboard tote or whatever. It's work to get it chopped out of there, and then you get it in a bucket, and then it's in big chunks. And a bear can walk into your bait and grab one of those chunks and walk back out in the bushes and spend the next 20 minutes eating it, and that might be the last 20 minutes of daylight. Or another bear might come in and run them off, or there's just a lot of things that can go wrong if a bear can grab a hunk of bait and just walk off with it. So while they really like the caramel popcorn in general, you really can't use it as a long-term bait. It might work as a filler. In places where you're restricted to how much bait you can put out, popcorn just doesn't work, because you want something way more substantial. Like you're hauling 10 gallons of bait into the woods to each bait in Wisconsin. You want something that's going to have some weight to it, have some nutritional value. That's why trail mix is so good in places like that. The drizzled popcorn, obviously in Michigan, you can't use it because most of it has chocolate drizzled on it. You've got to focus on things that have better nutritional value and will satisfy their nutritional needs and will fill them up. You want them really to fill up right there at the bait, and then go drop in a swamp somewhere and go, oh, I can't eat another bite. And then, the next afternoon he's laying there going, I'm kind of getting hungry again, and he's right close by and he knows right where to eat. So anyway, those are the questions for today. If you want to leave questions in the comment section below, I'll probably do more of these videos. The questions pour in all the time. So I hope this has been helpful and educational to you. I don't mind if you disagree with me. Your mileage may vary, and that's fine. Be civil about it if you want to disagree with me, and we can have a discussion about it. But thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.